Hello everybody, welcome back to Dominions 5. We're continuing our playthrough in the tournament. This is turn 3, and last episode I talked about our expansion plans, but now we have met Tianchi. So let me take a few minutes and talk about that. We have only limited information that I don't know what his bless is. Now, I did a brief overview in the first episode. LA Tianchi has these ancestor vessel sacreds. They're significant. Well, first of all, they're heavy cav sacreds, so that's always nice. So high defense, high protection, the usual cavalry stuff. But they have this howling bow. Unlike most cavalry archers, they actually have decent precision. Being magic weapons, they have an additional precision, initial chance to a bonus of 2 to their chance to hit. So these are fairly accurate. Now they do 13 damage, and the effect on damage is lesser fear. Now here's the thing about that. So first of all, one thing I checked in maybe an episode or 2 ago, I wasn't sure if so here are the mechanics for arrow combat, and I'm doing this from memory, but I think I got it. So on the attacking side, so in other words, once an arrow hits a square, so what square it hits is determined by precision, and there can always be variation if it's out of its optimal range. But once an arrow has decided on a square, assuming there are units in that square, it is probably, it might hit something. And the chance for it to hit is 2 plus, the number that is added on one side is 2, then a DRN, then the total size in that square, which could be up to 6 if it was a fully packed square. And then if the bow itself is a magic weapon, an additional 2 gets added. Now on the defender side, actually I'm adding a lot of 2s here. One of them doesn't have an extra 2, but whatever. On the defender side, there's 2. And the main thing that protects you is there's a penalty from fatigue, but the main thing that protects you is you get twice the parry number added, plus your DRN. So if I have this shield, I have 12 added on my side to fight against the total size in my square. So if we were fully packed, I'd have 6, and then he'd get 2 as a extra bonus from the magic weapons. So he's at a -4 on a DRN roll against me, basically. And if he does, so those are the basic mechanics. Now, the thing that I wasn't sure about was, suppose I do not deflect the arrow. Suppose the arrow doesn't miss and it hits me, can it still be a shield hit? And I didn't see a reference to it in the Dominions 5 manual, but in the Dominions 4 manual it mentions that it says, unlike in Dominions 3, arrows can now have a shield hit, so I believe it can. Now, I'm not 100% sure on this, but if so, that's even better. Because those bows are only doing 13 damage. Now, he might have a strength bless. We'll see. But 13 piercing damage is not armor piercing, right? No, it's not. Let's double check. Because crossbows, regular bows are not usually armor piercing. Nope, it's just piercing. So it's only going to be doing, 13. It's going to be, going against 80% of my armor. If I've got defenders that have 16 protection, that's like a 13 DRN versus, 13 protection. If it doesn't hit the shield. If it hits the shield, it's going to be even more. So only half the time is this fear effect even going to be applied on my defenders. Now, on the wardens, they don't have a shield, so they're more likely to get hit. But if they do get hit, they have higher protection, so they're less likely to even have the fear trigger. Similarly, with my cavalry, they're the least likely to be affected by this. Now, the question is, what would be the best unit to have to fight these ancestor vessels? And incidentally, it's not just ancestor vessels. He's Tianqi also has recruit anywhere cavalry. So if we take a look at these, we have either the heavy horseman or the horseman. This guy's only 10 protection, 15 defense because it's a horse. It's got a light lance, which does quite moderate damage, and it's got a composite bow, which has good range, but average damage and low precision because it's on a horse. The heavy horseman has the same kind of average composite bow, but it's just a heavy cav with 15 protection. This is actually a fantastic unit. I like it a lot. It's got a charge and then a lot of damage here. So what you would expect from Tianqi is a lot of barbarian heavy horsemen, and then also some ancestor vessels, as many as he can recruit. If he's using infantry, he'll use infantry, but this I'm not too worried about. What I'm worried about is if he comes at me with a bunch of ancestor vessels and a few extra heavy cav, what can I bring to bear that will be the most effective? And I also don't know what the bless is going to be yet. One thing I know for sure is I cannot afford to have a bunch of crappy units, right? A bunch of these shitty units, but even longbows, which are situationally quite powerful, or honestly even these crossbows, because something without a shield and without high protection is really going to get torn to pieces and rout from the howling bow. So I, against other matchups, maybe I do want to stack up on longbows or, cheap crossbows just to get bolts in the air. Not in this case. So the question then becomes, I'm going to keep massing these sacreds as much as I can. In the first few turns, that happens to be all I'm building. But eventually, this will, because of the limited holy points, this will only be like half of the units that I'm recruiting. Most of my resources and income are actually going to shift towards other units. So the question is, what should those units be if I'm anticipating that I might be fighting Tianqi? And if I had to decide between the defenders and the tower knights, I gotta be honest, my first thought was it was going to be defenders. But now I'm not so sure, and let me explain why. This depends on the timing of our war, obviously, right? And I'm assuming maybe we never have war. Maybe we stay at peace for the entire game. One issue is, we're kind of on a clock to be effective, because when somebody who has air access hits enchantment 6, they'll have arrow fend, and that is going to start sucking, because our archery is going to be only 20% as effective as it was before. By then, we should have transitioned to relying on our mages a bit more. Although we'll still be able to punish, it will force people to bring Arrowfen to each battle. Now, Tianqi has very easy access to air, so that's not going to be an issue for them at all. I'm thinking about this as like an early war. If it's a mid-game war with Arrowfen, then honestly, our troops here are there to catch arrows, and it's our mages that are going to be doing most of the work. So in this early war case, assuming I have as many of these as possible, and in general, these are going to be effective, because even though they are the most likely to in some ways they're more vulnerable to the arrows, to the howling bow, than the knight, because they don't have the shield, and so they are just going to be hit more often. Now, they still have excellent protection. 18 protection is basically going to be 14 or 15, probably 14-ish, because it's an arrow, so 13 damage versus 14 protection. We're not going to get attacked on our morale too often, and even if we do, we're blessed, then we have 14, we're going to have an extra 1 from the bless. 15 morale, we can take a couple hits to our morale. It's not terrible. But obviously, a knight here, it also has 14 morale, but they're just going to be hit so fewer times because of this kite shield. So in terms of surviving the hail of arrows, the knights are superior. Now, if we compare the sacred to the defender, the warden to the defender, again, we have decent morale. Here, if we do get hit, we're more likely to actually take damage, but we are much less likely to get hit because of the kite shield. Now, we are going to be fighting ancestor vessels, but we're also going to be fighting heavy cav, right? And the heavy cav is, well, it's your typical heavy cav, and it's got it's a little inferior to our heavy cav in the sense that ours has better stats. Theirs are 15-15, and mine is 18-16. However, ours is much more expensive than theirs, and we expect them to have far superior numbers. And so the question is, do I want to have more crossbow bolts in the air? Or do I want to have something kind of more sturdy that's going to run into their face to stop them shooting those arrows? And the truth is, I need a little bit of both. A lot of this fighting, if it happens, is going to depend on scripting. I expect him to do a lot of hold and attack rear to try to get at my commanders, so we're going to have to be very careful in our positioning. I think that the other important aspect here is that we do want to hit a few key early research targets. I'm doing Conjuration 3 as my first emergency, oh shit, don't kill me research for air elementals. Then I'm grabbing Evocation 2 just for lightning bolt. So those are going to be my two emergency techs, but after that we're going to hit Enchantment 4 and Alteration 4. I'm not sure which one we'll do yet. It will depend on whether we have fire access. But we're going to want to do Flaming Arrows and Wind Guide. Now, so if we go up here for Flaming Arrows, it's at Enchantment 4. We can cast this with a fire random on our Magisters with some communions. In terms of fighting him, though, I might want to just go up to Evocation 3 to hit Mist. Mist is going to reduce the precision of missiles. Now you think, but aren't I relying a lot on archery fire? I am. This will be an equal reduction in precision on both sides. Now, his sacreds have decent precision. They have a base 13, but these heavy cav all have a terrible precision of 9. And in fact, and he wouldn't use archers. I don't think he's going to recruit more archers. He doesn't have native fire access, so he's not going to do flaming arrows spam. So, and he doesn't have crossbows because that's only an MA, ironically. So his arrow fire is really only these guys. Now, maybe he took a precision bless, I don't know, but if we diminish the precision of all his troops, these are going to shoot completely wildly. Now, in completely massive numbers, they're going to hit something, but if we have clever formations, this precision is really going to hit the ground. Whereas this precision, he might still get a few shots off. Now, of course, it's going to penalize me as well, but my precision is just higher across the board. So I have 14 plus my bless, and the defenders also have 14. So with Mist going on, my guys are still going to be hitting things. Now, presumably, we both can put up Wind Guide, which will compensate for that. But if we put Wind Guide and Mist up, then effectively, because we can both do it. So if we're both doing Wind Guide and I put up Mist, then I'm bringing it back to the default precision values, and I have the advantage there because my guys are much more accurate. The other thing, too, is that honestly, his heavy cav is... I like this heavy cav. It's nice to shoot a few arrows beforehand, but against LA man troops, these are completely useless, these arrows. So I expect him to be fighting more directly with these guys. And maybe they do hold an attack, so they'll fire like 2 volleys and then charge in. So we have to be able to deal with heavy cav charge. Now this heavy cav is, our sacreds are going to be great against these. They're only 12 hit points, average defense, average protection. I think just having more crossbow bolts in the air to pick these off with crossbows is going to be a thing. So all that to say is that I'm going to favor initially, because this starts to be an issue around turns, 5 and 6. Once we start recruiting troops that are not wardens, what am I starting to accumulate? Am I starting to think about defenders? Am I starting to think about tower knights? Am I thinking foresters for sneaky shenanigans? Do I want longbows or regular crossbowmen? I'm going to, for now, stick with defenders. Of course, that might change based on what I see elsewhere, right? What I see from Atlantis, what I see from this player who may be LA Satis. That might evolve. I also don't really, in terms of my other targets for expansion, obviously wardens can kind of take care of most things, but are there any groups here that require a certain type of troop to help clear them out? So what do I mean by that? If I had a bunch of really easy targets like here, then cavalry is tower knights are a really good option, because I can just recruit 5 of them, and that is an expansion party in and of itself. If on the second ring I'm seeing a lot more heavy cav, then defenders are probably a better thing for me. And then there are some matchups where I might want to consider stocking up on regular crossbows or on longbows. But for now, my plan is to continue with the defenders. So let's move forward a couple of turns. I don't have that many saved up. We'll catch up to the present soon. But let's look at a few of these next expansion battles. So that was turn 3. Let's continue to turn 4. Okay, there was a battle. Let's take a look. So we've got 9 wardens. There's a longbow up here to make this a squad of 5. This guy's in the back doing nothing useful, even though he's death 1. And we had an accurate estimate of the number of troops. Only 2 heavy infantry. We've got about 8 crossbows in the back. It looks like the crossbows miss. I think our archers are on fire archer, so I'm speeding this up a little bit. By the way, so these indie crossbows, actually these have higher than, you can have, this is kind of cheaper ones that only have like 10 protection or less. These actually have 14 protection, good for them. So far, I think one commander got hit for 1 point of damage there, if I saw that correctly. Okay, these heavy infantry just get deleted. I'm curious to see if our archers do anything. Looks like so far, yeah, they're hitting the commanders here. So that's, yeah, we're getting, and now my sacreds are, now that they have no more targets in melee, they're actually going to fire their crossbows at these guys. And my prophet is also hitting them. Okay, you see a couple decays went off, and that's it. We got a rout. I think we might have lost a few spearmen. Yeah, we lost only 2 spearmen. You can see the prophet got a few kills. The spearman and warden got most of their kills. So longbowmen today did not do a great job. Okay, we did not see him expand here. Now this province says heavy infantry, light infantry, and militia. That is actually, there's no archers there. It's actually not hard at all to take this with sacreds. So I do expect him to come out in this direction at some point, but I know that he's not hitting this next turn, so I'm going to try to hit it. I'm going to keep scouting around his cap circle, trying to get one of his expansion parties so I can finally get eyes on his bless. So we have combined, I gave the wardens over to my prophet. He's going to go attack. This guy is just going to, it's weird that he still has the sword icon here. He's no longer leading any units, but anyways, I'll just have him site search here. and we are going to try to grab this province. Now, this province has sort of like a medium amount of troops: light infantry, crossbowmen, heavy infantry. So we've got the longbows on fire archers, and these two on hold and attack closest. I expect to take some casualties from the crossbowmen as we fight off the light infantries, but I'm fairly confident we will take the province. Meanwhile, here we are. Right now, I'm maxing my recruitment on wardens because I'm switching to getting one Lord Warden per turn, along with my Magister Arcane, and they're going to be leading our future expansion parties. And then all my extra resources I'm dumping into defenders. What's the plan? Well, in terms of new expansion directions, I'm probably going to head... I have a few options. I might head south or I might head west. Let's see what ends up happening. Incidentally, this province has scouts, so I'm going to recruit scouts, one per turn. And this scout I'm sending east to see what's going on in this direction. And yeah, we'll just be spamming out scouts to get as much intel as we can. We've got a bit of time. Let's set up the next turn, which would be turn 5, I believe. Yeah, okay, we didn't find any death sites. Let's look at our battle here. Let's look at our expansion battle. So, yeah, this is kind of what we expected. A small chunk of heavy infantry, a large number of light infantry. They do have javelins, and then a sizable chunk of crossbows. So the crossbows seem to be targeting our wardens from the get-go, which is unfortunate. Oh no. The Divine Blessing got interrupted. I didn't catch that the first time. Oh shit, these guys are not blessed. And I've got him scripted for Heavenly Strikes. Twice. Now, finally, he does Divine Blessing. Okay, so we finally got Divine Blessing, but we have lost one Warden, and a few of the others are hit already. Now, the Bless only, is adding precision. That wasn't really relevant, but Blood Surge would have been nice to have triggered on a few of these guys, because we've scored some hits already. We've gotten some kills already. Now, already, actually, if we look, we've gotten a few crossbowmen. We've gotten 2 crossbowmen from the longbow, and a few other hits have been scored. So we've killed 2 crossbowmen, and we've lost 1 longbowman. Have we gotten any of their commanders yet? No. No hits have been scored on their commanders. Meanwhile, my spearmen, how are they doing? Surprisingly well. They've taken hits, but none of them have died so far. Now, their heavy infantry and their light infantry are taking quite a beating here. So, their heavy infantry has routed. But my formation here, this guy got a limp or something. Yeah, he got crippled. So he's still way behind. And so these guys are kind of swarming around my sacreds over here, which is quite unfortunate. How are we doing on killing the crossbowmen here? Still haven't killed anything else. There go a couple. One more crossbowman died to the longbows. So, here's what I was talking about, maybe an episode or 2 ago in the expansion. Fighting, a chunk of crossbows is dangerous if you can't get to them quickly, because we're still busy killing light infantry here, so my guys are just standing still. That is quite unfortunate. And they're just still targeting my guys. Now, finally, we got the rout. He got hit. I don't know if he decided to flee after getting hit just from that hit point, but we did cause enough of an HP rout with all of the light infantry. So, unfortunately, we've taken quite a few casualties. We lost 5 of our 9 wardens, but basically, this has reduced our force here to our almost basically our opening expansion force. which is enough, I think, to take this province here, which just has woodsmen and woodsmen blowpipes. Now, this could be an under-representation, and there might be some big like blood mages and blood vines here, but we've had eyes on this province for a couple turns, and we didn't see any of that, so I think we're going to be okay. This province, as you can see, is a large province, so we've got a high population, high income, very nice. It looks like Tianchi has not yet expanded to the left or to his north, so I assume he's been taking these provinces here. He's got 3 commanders here. That's unlikely. He's probably got 1 commander here, who he's recruited to help shuttle his units. And here we've got heavy infantry. Ooh. 7 heavy infantry. I think he failed at expansion here. So I'm on turn 6 right now, but I hadn't noticed this. I think he failed on expansion here. I don't think... Let's load the turn. Let's load the last turn. So this is turn 5. This is interesting. Let's load turn 4 here. Okay, our report here said 40 units, mainly heavy infantry, light infantry, and militia. So if it was like, 20, 10, and 5, or, give or take a few units, this could be off by 50%. So this could actually only be, like 20 units total. But because now it's only saying heavy infantry, I don't think it hides, like I wonder, honestly, it doesn't happen a lot, and I'm not 100% sure. If you had a province that had an indie province that had like heavy infantry, light infantry, and militia, but only like 10, 5, 3, would it just not show the militia at all, right? Could it just say heavy infantry? I don't think so. I think he failed his expansion in this province. I could be wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong. Interesting. I didn't catch this when I played this turn. Mainly because we have met Satis. That's, I guess, what I was thinking about more. So Satis is, in fact, in this wasteland, and he has pushed west in his early expansion, trying to stake out, trying to claim this border province between the two of us. Now, it's 2 from each of our caps. Obviously, that makes me a little uncomfortable. Now, of all of the large provinces to lose access to, this one, is forest and mountains. So, in terms of something I want to fort up and get a lot of income, I'd rather get these... actually, not this one. This is I forgot that this is just the mountains. But I want to get these plains, which are going to be worth a lot more. Or this one, which is going to be worth a ton. But anyways, that's that. So I'm going to send this scout over here, because I'm guessing this will be part of his expansion soon. I doubt he's going to push into a bunch of heavy infantry with whatever weakened army took this. In fact, this might have been taken... let's see. There have been 3 turns of expansions. I'm assuming he doesn't have an awake expander, so he could have done... he could have gotten it this turn, but then I'd see his army here. So he probably somehow expanded 1, 2, and now he's somewhere else. Which means he's obviously found a very effective starting expansion. I mean, I actually don't know what... we're going to take a look at Satis in the next episode, but I just want to take a look what this... I don't know what he gets as his expansion army. They have okay protection because of the higher protection, but it's just spears. They might have javelins. I mean, it's okay. Nothing amazing. He's got kind of average sacreds. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously he's figured it out. He might have an awake. I don't know. I don't know how he pushed out this. I mean, he might have done what I did, right? But no, then I'd see his army. We will think about this next episode, sorry, I should say. Now, I'll mention that we... shouldn't we have a second... Let me go back. This is turn 5. I think we should have like a second... turn 3. I thought we should have another warden by now. Oh, no. No, okay, that's our first warden. Okay, I'm not crazy. This is... I mean, I've done a lot of expansion practice, so I should be... So I kind of did a lot of this without thinking, but I'm correct. So we had 2 turns of warden recruitment going with our first warden commander. So that gives us quite a reasonable army of about 12 units exactly. And we are going to push south. I didn't realize that I made this decision before, like, last turn. I'm on turn 6 right now. I hadn't really realized that he had failed in his expansion, but if he isn't here, then this gives me an opportunity to get some of this land before he can really contest it. And we will have another expansion. And I don't think Satis is going to push into my cap circle. So I have time on this front. And so we're going to go here with this expansion party, and later we are going to push to the left. And what I'm going to do is these guys, when they come, after they take this, they're going to come here, and then I'll combine them with another party here to reinforce and to try to take these parties. That's my plan for expansion. Okay, let's end this episode now. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.